In the last video, I got the cowling installed onto the helicopter, but this week I feel like I've made more progress than I have in any other video before. My name's Callie, I'm the OKS engineer. Let's get into it. So to make sure I was starting off with a nice clean surface, I went ahead off camera and scrubbed this thing down with some Dawn dish soap and a red Scotch-Brite to get rid of any grease or contaminants. Now, while it's clean, I'm going to come back and actually mask off any areas that I don't want painted or primed or prepped. More specifically, some of that carbon. I don't know what the paint scheme is going to look like yet, and I may actually want to expose some of that carbon. And so I'm just going to mask some of this off in the off chance that this does actually end up in the paint scheme. From there, I'll come back and we'll scuff everything down with a DA at 120 grit. That'll get all the gel coat scuffed up and dull and ready for something. And then in the areas that I actually plan to do further body work, we'll come back and scuff those down with 80 grit to prep for either epoxy and micro balloons or fairing compound or whatever else I end up using in those areas. All right, the surfaces are all scuffed down and prepped. I did follow this up with some compressed air to get any dust out of any of those pores, and I'm going to wipe this down with acetone one more time before we start into the fairing. Now, we do need to touch on materials for a little bit. In short, you can stick with polyester anything, so resin or fairing compound or whatever, until you switch to an epoxy. Once you switch to an epoxy-based filler, you're basically stuck with epoxy. That's because epoxy bonds well to polyester. Polyester does not bond well to epoxy. So we will be using epoxy resin and microballoons. That works really well for filling kind of bigger, thicker areas. It's more tough than like an epoxy-based fairing compound. It will flex a little bit better and it's not quite as brittle. So that's the reason we're using it for like the larger areas and anything that needs a little bit more fill. From there, since we have now switched to epoxy, I will either use a very thin layer of epoxy fairing compound or I'll go straight to an epoxy-based filler primer sealer before we go into paint. For the first pass of filler, which will be epoxy resin and microballoons, I'm going to focus first on this seam line where the two halves of the fuselage come together. And I'm also going to focus on kind of the bulk fill, the rough fill of the seam between the carbon fiber panel and the fuselage. Now that's a slightly different story for the interior. I don't need to do any fairing on the pretty kind of panels, so those are pretty much good to go. And I don't plan on doing anything for like the raw fiberglass. So we're going to be using a polyester-based high build primer in here. That primer should fill some of the texture of that raw fiberglass and just make it look a little bit better. And it'll do a perfectly good job on the finished panels as well. All right, the first pass of epoxy and microballoons is down. It goes on pretty rough. It doesn't give quite the smooth surface that like a fairing compound would do, but that's okay. This is once again just the first rough pass. I'm gonna go ahead and use a foam block and some 80 grit sandpaper to get all the high spots down and get everything mostly smooth. No! Oh no! Oh! Come on, power! The rough fill and sand with the epoxy and microballoons is finished. I'll go ahead and throw some before and after photos in here so you can see what that basically looks like everywhere. From here on out, I'm going to be using 2-part epoxy fairing compound. It's going to be a much, much thinner coat. I'm not worried about it flexing because it will be thinner, and it will allow me to get a much better surface finish and basically smooth transition between all of the seams. I'm going to make and take really special close attention to the portions of the fuselage that meet up with that carbon fiber fairing. I want to make sure that there's no waviness and that transition is as smooth as possible, because when I get clear coat on here, you're definitely going to see any imperfections. To get there, I'm going to be throwing down some guide coat. I did a very light sand over the guide coat and exposed all the low spots that I want to fix. I went and outlined those with some Sharpie, and then I'm going to follow this back up. Actually, I'm going to border everything with probably 2 layers, maybe 3 layers of blue tape. That way it gives the edges kind of some thickness, and it will force me to add material with the epoxy fairing compound. I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if it's best practice, but we're going to give it a shot. Basically, I'm just looking for a way to force myself to put additional material down. It's going to be more sanding, but I think it's going to end up with a better result. You can see now how I use that added buildup of tape to guide my spreader and put in this fairing compound. I think that worked out actually really good. I do have a lot of excess here, so most of this is going to come off, and it is going to take a long time, so we might as well get into it. There are a couple spots where I have some pinholes or some blemishes that I need to go back and touch up, but instead of mixing up a small batch of fairing compound, I'm going to wait until I have a better excuse to do so. Before I can throw down some primer on this thing, I do need to get a couple more things finished. 2 of those are mount the auxiliary tank, the belly tank, to the bottom of the helicopter, and I'm going to get the radiator shroud mounted as well. So the radiator shroud gets mounted to this back shelf in a similar way that we mounted the dash. So it'll be held on with 3 bolts on each side, 6 in total. And those will thread in, since this is blind and you don't have very good access, it'll get threaded into a piece of aluminum bar stock that I'm going to drill and tap some holes into. Behind here, though, there is a bulkhead for strength. And so you can't just put a long bar in there and have it work, and you also need to dodge that bulkhead. So this is actually kind of cool. Maybe it's trivial to you, but I wish I would have stumbled across this earlier. If you don't already know, if you put your hands behind your back, close your eyes, and then try to touch your 2 fingers together, it is extremely hard to do so and usually end up missing. That's similar to trying and find 2 spots by just fishing your fingers in a blind hole and seeing if you can touch. The other problem is, since you're actually touching something physical, you may actually think that you're aligned when you are way, way off. So in order to help with this, I have 2 little spherical magnets. It was actually from like a fidget toy that I had sitting on my desk. And it obviously attracts through fiberglass, and it will roll to the point that's closest to each other. And so that helps me identify from the outside where that bulkhead is without actually having to know exactly where it is. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. It's a little bit of math to figure out where I want these bolt holes to go, and then marking them out, measuring them, and match drilling them between the radiator shroud and the helicopter. Now that the holes are drilled, all that's left to do is to make those blind nuts out of the aluminum bar stock and bond them in with some JB Weld into all the locations. Next on the list is the aux tank. Now, naturally, before we can just start match drilling and getting this thing bolted onto the fuselage, there's a couple things we need to get sorted first. First of all, there is a boss here on the bottom. That's the pickup that goes into the bottom of this aux tank. This actually extends up past the surface, so I need to get a hole drilled into the bottom of the fuselage where that boss is actually going to go through. I'm going to measure the actual location of this boss on the aux tank, and then I need to add an additional 3 inches off the back because the cross member for the skids actually passes behind the aux tank, and we need enough distance there to clear it. I knew the edges weren't very flat, but now that it's actually mounted on here, it's really, really obvious. Now, this is because the bottom side of this actually has a pretty significant taper to it, and the instructions aren't exactly clear, but I can only imagine that they actually intended you to basically plane this out and make it much flatter. The surface that the bolts go through are very parallel to the actual fuselage, so those are very flat. So what I'm going to do is basically sand down this entire edge to get the taper off, have a flat landing. That'll give me a better mating surface up to the bottom of the fuselage, make everything better, and it'll also make all this fit a lot better to the bottom. I've got the flanges sanded down really flat. I've got some 1, 2, 3 blocks down here representing the 3-inch gap that I need. And when I set this thing up against the bottom of the helicopter, I'm actually really, really happy with the gap that is left. To figure out the bolt spacing, I did some really quick math and figured out that with 4 bolts across the top and 5 bolts down the side, I end up with about a 5-inch bolt spacing, and it's pretty consistent on both edges. Because the sidewall of this is so vertical and the edge is so close, I don't have the clearance to get a standard drill in here, and I definitely don't have a really, really long drill bit. So for that, I'm going to transfer those bolt spacings onto the top of this aux tank. We're going to drill it out from this side, which I have access to. Then I'm going to mount this back up to the bottom of the helicopter, transfer those holes to the bottom, and then I'm going to drill those separately. Ideally, you would mount the tank to the helicopter and then match drill both, but in the past I've been successful doing it this way, and so I think it's going to be okay. That's going to do it for the aux tank. Turned out pretty good, I think. Pretty stoked. There is one last thing left to do. I need to take this plate and fabricate some like load distribution backer washers for the backside of these bolts, just to make sure that they're really sturdy and aren't going to pull through that thin fiberglass. But I'm not going to bore you with that. We're going to go on to the next project. I've got to get 2 more small things done on the interior of the helicopter before we can check it off as being done and ready for paint. One is the foot pedal bracket needs to get installed, and the second, there is a controls pass-through hole that I need to mark out and cut through the bulkhead as well. Now the foot pedal bracket needs a little bit more trimming before I can bond it into the helicopter. You can see the features kind of on the face. Those are so I know where to drill for the mounting locations, and then this rectangular feature, that's where the pedal actually has to pass through this face, and I need to get that trimmed down so it doesn't interfere. So we're going to trim this thing up for a little bit and then test fit it for the final install. The controls pass-through is pretty straightforward. I just made a quick little template that I can use to trace and transfer onto the bulkhead. Then it's just a matter of marking it out, drilling it, and cutting it. And that's it. The interior is finished and ready for paint, but I have one more thing on the tail boom that we need to fix. This little fiberglass piece holds the end of the push rod for the tail rotor at the back of the tail boom. And so I need to, one, get a slot cut in where the directions tell you where to cut it. And then two, this actually interferes with the vertical stabilizer mount. And so I need to come up with a clever way to trim both of those pieces and get them to mate really nicely. And here it is put together. I feel like I've made some serious progress and it feels really good. We have the auxiliary tank on the bottom. We've got the radiator shroud there on the back. Obviously the cowling is all faired in and nice and pretty. I threw the seat in just because the foot pedal brackets, they're all finished in there. I am just stoked how things are going. I even got a nice little happy accident back here. I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out, and I'm actually pretty excited. So the cowling hugs the side of the radiator shroud back here. The fan, as you can see, will mount down here in the bottom, and it's tucked up really, really nice with the cowling. And so I'm probably going to end up extending this shroud so it'll go directly into the bottom of the cowling, and I'm going to use that fan for the radiator to help pull and induce air all the way from the top through the intake and then go down exit through the radiator. So I'll get kind of some forced induction cooling going through the entire cowling. Pretty stoked about that one. I'm not sure if I'm going to get another video out by the time this one goes live and the Composite FX Fly-In, which is in Trenton, Florida, April 11th and 12th, Saturday and Sunday. If you have any excuse to be in Florida, come check it out. It's definitely going to be a good time. Good, exciting news. They have the rest of my kit ready to pick up. That's blades, engines, everything. So once I get back from Composite FX's Fly-In, I should have everything I need to literally finish this entire helicopter, so I will not be held up by anything. Really, really excited about that, and super excited about wrenching on something other than some fiberglass and some carbon fiber. I also changed up the editing style of the last few videos. They're a little bit shorter, a little bit faster paced, go slightly less in depth. I'm curious to get some feedback on whether you like this new style or not, or in general, if there's anything that I can do better. So as always, go build something cool, never stop learning, and we'll see you on the next one.